Welcome to the 14-day AI challenge where you stop guessing and you start prompting. I'm your host, Engineer Victory, and today is day 8 of the 14-day practical AI challenge. We're going to be looking at something quite interesting today. We're going to be looking at improving communications with AI. So let's get right into it. Improving communications with AI, and our theme is say less and achieve more. Say less and achieve more. So let's get into why messages get ignored. So you're trying to pass across a message either through a speech to a group of people. They could be your students, they could be employees. You're trying to pass a message to a manager, to a colleague, to someone you've not met before, either to text, through an email, through a cold call. Why why does your message get ignored sometimes? Let's see the reasons. Number one, the message isn't clear fast enough. People value their time and people value information. If you're trying to pass across an information to someone, you must do so in record time. You should not call someone and start narrating a very long story which has no relevance to your intent or to the various purpose you're trying to drive at. Right? You cannot try to, for example, you're trying to tell someone to drive safely on the road and you're narrating how the car was built, and the way in which the car was built is irrelevant to road safety in that context. That person may zone out of the conversation or zone out of the message and not prioritize it because you were not fast enough to present the message which you're trying to present to the person. What's our second point? Our second point is too much context, not enough direction. Once you bring in too much context in a particular message or communication you're trying to pass across, that message may bring up conflicting information or may bring up conflicting points which may not lead to the eventual point which you wanted the whole message to lead to. Let's say you're trying to talk to people about safety, and in that same message, people are getting to get relationship advice, people are getting to hear your personal opinions, and they are getting so many things. Now that's good, but all those things which you're providing, are they geared to achieving or to driving at the point which you want to tell? If you provide too much context, the context or your story and your communication will not help pass across the message you're looking to pass, right? Our next point is it is written from the sender's perspective, or it is presented from the sender's perspective. The sender's perspective is very, very important, no doubt, especially when you're trying to pass across an information on how you feel or on how a certain situation affected you. But you should also send that information with the mindset that somebody is going to read this information. Ask yourself, the person who is going to read this information or listen to it or receive it, how would the person respond? In what way would I like the person to respond to this message? And let that information guide the way you form your message, guide the way you present the message, so that your message will be accepted and the message will not be ignored. Because if you send a message to someone and the message is structured considering only your perspective and only what you think, at the end of the day, the message may be good, it may contain a good information, but the sender may reject it because it does not consider the perspective of the sender. Something that may be good to some person or to one person may sound offensive to another person. Something that may look like an advice from one person may sound as an insult to another person. So you have to be careful in the way you present the information, the way you present the message. The next thing is no structure. No structure equals to no mental effort. So people often consider you're presenting a structureless information as you have not gotten any mental effort, you're not putting any mental effort into it. If you think that no structure equals to mental effort, it's wrong. Because, for example, you're trying to pass across information, you're trying to teach something or bring across a communication. If you do not structure it appropriately, people are going to think, well, you did not put any effort into what you're saying. or maybe you are just speaking from things which you heard and you're not actually an authority on the subject. Maybe you're trying to teach people, you're trying to instruct people about something. If the information is not structured, it could be confusing, it could be misleading, and it could be hardly understandable. And as a result, the message get ignored. Another reason why messages get ignored is the wrong tone, the wrong tonation for the situation. You're in a high stakes situation where you need to be very formal and very serious. And in such a situation, you pass across an information that is very important in a very comedic, cordial fashion. Comedic, cordial fashion that drives or pushes the narrative of a laissez-faire kind of not caring attitude that could actually not only cause that the message would not be received properly, but it could go beyond that to the point where maybe you lose access to that particular place, or you don't get the opportunity you were gunning for because you did not use the right tonation when presenting the information. The information itself may be correct, well structured, having no flaw, but your tonation is really, really important. The next thing we are going to look at is no clear outcome or call to action. Some people, they do what others may describe as a word salad in their communication. There is no distinctive end that can be gotten from the communication or from the message. You're trying to tell somebody something and you are just speaking and speaking and speaking, and at the end of the day, people can't really say what you've said, right? That's why messages get ignored. And lastly, we look at generic wording. If you use generic wording and you're not specific, people often see it as though you're trying to avoid responsibility, or you're trying to say something without actually saying it. And as a result, some people ignore such communication because they prefer, working with people that can say A and B, and they are credible, they are direct with what they say. They don't mix words, they don't speak, in a general term, trying to insinuate something else, right? Try to be direct in your communication. Of course, there are times where you may need to insinuate with your communication and speak generally, but you need to read the room to understand whether that situation calls for such a kind of speech. All right, so we're going to look at our framework for today. Our framework is a tone framework. So this framework is a framework for both communication and for prompting, right? You can use this framework for your communication, whether it is relationships, close family relationships, love relationships, work relationships, or whatever. Tone is the framework to use. It's a suitable framework you can use. Let's look at the various aspects of the tone framework. T stands for target audience. Who is your target audience? Who are you trying to reach? O is the objective. What do you want to achieve? N is the natural language. Which language is appropriate for this goal which you're trying to achieve? Right? And then E is the emotional intent. What emotions or desires are you trying to pass across, or are you trying to convey with that communication? It's very, very important to take note of, because these are the things that are the right elements of the communication in order for it to achieve its intended purpose. People who master these things can sway people with their words, right? Let's look at a breakdown of the framework. So, who is the target of the message? We have this person wants to write a message to his manager. Who is the target of the message? His manager. What is the objective of the message? A deadline extension, maybe for a project, maybe for a particular company related issue or company related situation, but the issue is to get a deadline. What is the natural language for this message? Since it's a work situation, the message has to be polite, respectful, and very, very formal. You cannot use informal language in a work environment. It's wrong. What is the emotion you want the message to convey? You want the message to convey a calm and sincere information, a calm and sincere emotion. The manager should read this and say, all right, this person is calm and is sincere. right? That is the examples which we have for the tone framework. Let's look at other examples of good and bad prompts. The example of a good prompt is: rewrite this message politely to my lecturer, asking for a deadline extension. Keep it respectful and clear. So who is the target audience here? The target audience is a lecturer, a professor, a tutor, right? We have the target audience. What is the output? The output is asking for an extension of maybe a project deadline, an assignment deadline, and an assessment deadline. That is the outcome. Then the natural language. The natural language is a polite message. The message has to be polite, right? Polite. And then what is the emotion which we are trying to pass across? The emotion here is a respectful emotion. And then another outcome which is also included in the prompt is the message should be clear. It should not be complicated. It should not be complex. Go straight to the point. This is a very good prompt. Let's look at this other prompt here. It says make this sound better. It could be make this message sound better, make this text sound better. That's a bad prompt. Why? There is no guidance, right? There is no context. The audience is not specified, and the objective or the call to action is not shown. Because in the first prompt, what is the call to action? The call to action is getting an extension for the deadline, right? The call to action is the same as the outcome. And in the second example, or in the bad prompt example, there is no call to action. So it's a very bad prompt. And at the end of the day, the AI agent will not be able to effectively replicate the message, right? And by the way, sound better too is not also it's not really defined, and it's a really subjective term depending on the message you're trying to send. So you have to be able to define what you mean by sound better. Okay, we have this other example here. It says improve this WhatsApp message to my boss, make it sound professional but natural. So the target audience is the boss. We have the outcome. The outcome is not written there, but it's a WhatsApp message. It's a WhatsApp message to the boss. What is the natural language? The natural language has to be a natural, the message has to be written in a natural way. Maybe this message is to make a request, maybe for maternity leave, to make a request, maybe for time off, right? It has to sound natural. Of course, you can leave the prompt this way, and then the core message itself is going to carry the extra information. But it's always good to include this other information, like the tonation, like the call to action, and the emotion which you want conveyed in your message. That way the AI agent can properly arrange the prompt in order for it to produce the best results. So why does this prompt work? It has a clear context with specific expectation, it's direct, and the instruction is concise. Let's look at the bad prompt. Make this message very formal and strong. Very formal and strong. Formal is a good, it's a good word in this case. We're looking at the natural language, which is formal, and then the emotion which we want to convey is it wants to convey strength, right? But these things are in a way like you doing too much in the message. And if you should send the message, if you should instruct an AI agent to edit a message in this manner, it would likely produce something which is not realistic, and overcorrection, something which is not realistic and not similar to what you find in daily work, in daily life for people who are maybe working together, or in daily communication between people who are working in a formal space. And then it also sounds robotic. The response you get is definitely going to be robotic. It's kind of like it's kind of going to produce something which is void of human emotions, which is very, very wrong and very, very bad. All right, so we are going to look at our AI mindset for today. Our AI mindset is AI sharpens clarity, You provide context and intent. AI sharpens clarity while you provide the context and the intent. So let's move to our live prompt walkthrough for today. Remember, we want to improve communication and messaging, right? So I want to write a message to my boss and then asking the boss to maybe help me do one or two things. So let's see how we can do that. So it says, rewrite this message to my boss, making it sound professional and polite. Use a respectful yet use a respectful tone. The message is to request for an extension of the deadline for my group project. And then I'm going to now paste the message which I have written to my boss, right? You can paste that rough edit here. I would like to advise you, please, once you're using AI agents to do personal things, be very, very careful. We are living in a world where our information is out there, and so try as much as possible to redact information in such use cases. For example, you're trying to write a message to your boss. Let's say your boss's name is John. If you have written a draft, right, and you have personal information, please edit the draft you have, removing personal information there and making it to sound generic. Because if not, the AI agents, and the companies behind them gather information, and at the end of the day, if there are data leaks, your information goes out there and we don't know what's going to happen. So please be very careful with the information, with personal information which you provide to AI agents. Don't provide information like your name, like your complete name. Well, they already have that for most of us out there who are signed in. We don't provide information that are sensitive, maybe like a passport number, an ID number, banking information that could be used to exploit you in a malicious way. Avoid providing such information, right? Please don't do that. Take care. Be aware of that when you're prompting and working with AI agents, right? So in this case, I'm not going to draft any message because I've definitely not written any message, but I'm just going to ask you to write or to draft a message for me I can use. So I'm just going to ask you to draft. So I'm going to change it from rewrite to draft a message. To draft a message to my boss, making it sound professional and polite. Use a respectful tone. The message is to request an extension of the deadline for my group project. And then I think I'm definitely going to add one more context. The reason for this request is this. I'm just going to add a little bit more context. Due to seasonal changes, we have been short-staffed over the last 3 weeks. We are short-staffed over the previous 3 weeks, or over last. I'll just let it be at that point, and let's see the draft which our AI chatbot is going to give. Now, because we've said boss, AI chatbot has definitely taken this as an email, because most communications between employees and emails are in the form of between employees and bosses are in the form of emails. But if this was a WhatsApp message, you can definitely specify, right, or ask it to transform this into a WhatsApp message. But let's look at the result we've gotten so far. Dear boss, I hope you're doing well. I'm writing to respectfully request an extension on the deadline for our project, for our group project. Over the past 3 weeks, we have been operating short staff due to seasonal changes, which has significantly affected our capacity and overall progress. We remain committed to delivering high quality work and want to ensure the final output meets expectation. An extension would allow us the necessary time to complete the project properly without compromising standards. Thank you very much for your understanding and consideration. Please let me know if you would like to discuss this further. Kind regards. It ends with my name, of course, Victory. This is a great draft. You can copy this and then edit it for your use case as you want or as you have to do. It's a great draft and then it fulfills all what we are looking for as defined by our prompt. Now we are just going to ask you to change this message into a message suitable for WhatsApp, right? Or maybe for another messaging platform. Just say change this message into a shorter version for suitable for WhatsApp. Suitable for WhatsApp, right? Let's see what we are going to get. So it says, hi boss, I hope you're well. I wanted to kindly request a short extension on our group project deadline. We've been short staffed over the past 3 weeks due to seasonal changes which have slowed progress. We're committed to delivering quality work and would appreciate your understanding. Thank you. Now, this is also a great shorter version of the same message which is suitable for WhatsApp. It does not need all the formal structuring of an email. I can then ask it to redraft this message and then draft it into a version of something else of me informing my colleagues to not worry that I've requested for a deadline or for an extension from the boss, right? Let's do that. We draft this message into one for my colleagues, informing them that I have requested for a deadline extension from the boss. The message should be respectful yet informal and suitable for WhatsApp, right? So let's see the draft which is going to give in this time. It says, hey team, just a quick heads up that I've requested a deadline extension from the boss for our group project. I explained that we've been short-staffed the past few weeks due to seasonal changes. I'll update you as soon as possible, as soon as I hear back. Thanks everyone. That's a great message, right? That's a very, very great message. That's a great message. So another thing which you can do is you can definitely take your message, a raw draft of your message, write it, send it to the AI agent, and then ask AI agent to improve it for you, telling you why the message is weak and not appropriate for the use case, and recommending possible tweaks you can make to the message to make it sound better. If you do it that way, you will not be dependent on the AI agent. You would rather use the AI agent for a couple of runs, and then you are not just using the AI agent to give you answers. You're using it to learn how to improve your communication and improving your responses. This way, this is for somebody who has maybe not much time on his hands and is very busy, and maybe he does not have the luxury to learn how to improve his communication and just wants his communications to be improved. But for somebody who has the luxury to sit down and to learn, there's another way to do it, right? I'm just going to say, give me an example of a bad message to my boss requesting for the same thing, right? So let's say this is a message I wrote to my boss, right? Here, let's just hear what we're going to say. See, it says here we are not going to finish the project on time. We've been, hey, we are not going to finish the project on time. We've been understaffed and it's messed up everything, so we need more time. Just extend the deadline, please. That's the message, right? Now, I'm now going to copy this message and then ask the AI agent to edit this message and give us a better version of it, telling us why this is a weak message and inappropriate for our use case. So you can still write that here, or you can do that maybe. Let me just do that in a new chat so you can see what I mean. So I'm gonna say, hey, I am just trying to provide context. I am an employee. Let me just say I'm a manager. I'm a manager working on a project A with my team at my company. I wrote this message to my boss requesting for an extension of our project deadline. Critique this message and tell me whether it is appropriate for my situation. Edit it also. Let me say, edit it also into a better version explaining explaining reasons for your edited version, right? So I'm just going to edit this typo so they are correct. It says, hey, I'm a manager working on a project with my team at my company. I wrote this message to my boss requesting for an extension of our project deadline. Critique this message and tell me whether it is appropriate for my situation. Edit it also into a better version, explaining reasons for your edited version, right? And then I'm just going to come down and then paste the message. And then let's hear what the AI agent is going to say as a response to our prompt. It says your message communicates urgency, but it comes across as blunt, defensive, and a bit accusatory. For a manager speaking to a boss, tone matters as much as content. Right now, it sounds emotional, places blame instead of ownership, lacks specifics, does not show a recovery plan, and uses casual phrasing that weakens professionalism. So these are the reasons why this message is not a good message, for the situation which the user is in. Now let's see the recommendation it gives. It says you want to sound accountable, solution oriented, and respectful, not desperate or confrontational. And that's a good recommendation. Let's see the message which the AI agent has given us. It says, hi boss, I want to provide an update on the project timeline. Due to staffing constraints over the past phase, progress has been slower than projected, and we won't be able to complete the work to the expected standard by the current deadline. Rather than rushing delivery and compromising quality, I recommend extending the deadline by X days. This will allow the team to finalize the remaining tasks properly and deliver a result that reflects our standards. We've already adjusted our internal workflow to prevent further delays and are confident we can meet the revised timeline. Please let me know if you like a brief breakdown of the remaining work or an updated schedule. Thank you for your understanding. Why this version works better: professional tone, ownership, quality focus, solution oriented, collaborative, and specific. Now, this is a very great way, to edit this message, and it's a better version of the message overall. And this is one of the ways in which you can use the AI agent to edit and to improve your communication with people, to make it better for the situation in context. And this message, in my opinion, is better than the one we got previously, than the first response we got previously for a professional message, right? This is just a very, very great result, in my opinion. Now I'm going to prompt it to help me draft a speech for students on why they should not smoke and eat more healthy. And then I'm going to employ the tone framework, or rather, I'm going to prompt it to use the tone framework. Now, this is for someone who wants to use AI to make their communications better in the case of a speech, and then employ and utilize that framework while speaking, right? Listen to what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, using the tone framework, you'd have to define it, by the way, where we have T, target audience, comma, I'm just going to put that dash there. O, what was O for again? O was outcome. Then we have N. We're going to have, at N, we're going to have natural right language. And then finally, E, emotions to be conveyed. I'm going to say in the outcome, I'm going to say outcome or call to action, right? Using the tone framework, I've defined the framework, right? Now I'm going to ask you to write a speech. Draft a speech for me, a health professional, to a group of teens and young students. Putting the size is actually important in this use case. Let's say about 20 to 30. About 20 to 30. Why they should not smoke and avoid unhealthy, fatty, and highly processed foods, or food products rather. Right? It says, using the tone framework, and then I define the framework. Draft a speech for me, a health professional, to a group of teens and young students, why they should not smoke and avoid unhealthy, fatty, and highly processed foods. Explain the draft at each section and clearly show how you have employed the tone framework in the message or in the speech draft. So by doing this, I am adding this clause here so that I, in the long run, don't become reliant on the AI chatbot. In the long run, I get to learn by why working with it. It does not serve as an answer generating machine. It shows me how it get the answers. It shows me the reasoning behind the answers so that I can replicate those answers without the AI agents, right? Let's do this and then let's see the response we get. Now you can definitely tailor it more by giving maybe a list. Maybe you should give a limit, maybe 1000 words or not more than 2000 words, you see. But anyway, this one is just a draft. Our goal here is beyond the communication, beyond encouraging the young people not to eat unhealthy fatty foods and to stop smoking. Our goal is also to see how the tone framework as was employed during this communication. So we are kind of like shooting two birds with one stone. Now we are going to go through the entire response which we got, and then we'll see how it's gonna help us. So we see it says, great, I'll first draft the speech, then break it down section by section and explicitly map how the tone framework was applied. Title, your body is still under construction, protect it. That is a very great title in my opinion. It says, good morning everyone. I want you to imagine something for a second. You're given a brand new phone today, the best model in the world, perfect battery, perfect camera, super fast. Would you put soda into the charging port? Would you drop it in sand on purpose? Or of course not. You'd protect it because it's valuable. Your body is more advanced than any phone ever made, and right now at your age it is still under construction. Your lungs are still developing, your brain is still wiring itself, your heart is learning how to handle stress and energy. The choices you make today don't just affect today, they build the version of you that shows up at 25, 40, and 60. Smoking may look like a small experiment, a social thing, or a stress release, but every cigarette trains your lungs to become weaker. It reduces oxygen to your brain, slows your stamina, and increases your risk of diseases that don't wait until old age anymore. I've seen young patients struggle to breathe after only a few years of smoking. None of them thought it would happen to them. The same is true for highly processed and fatty foods. These foods are engineered to taste good, not to make you strong. When you overload your body with them, you are teaching it to store fat, spike your sugar levels, and build habits that are hard to break later. That affects energy, mood, concentration, sports, performance, and even sleep. The body keeps scores. This is not about never eating fries or never having fun. This is about balance and awareness. Every time you choose water over soda, a home cooked meal over junk food, or fresh air over smoke, you cast a vote for a stronger future. You're casting a vote for a stronger future version of yourself. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. Your future self is watching the decisions you make today, and trust me, they want you healthy, energetic, confident, and alive to enjoy everything you're working towards. Protect your lungs, fuel your body, build habits that make you proud. Because the strongest investment you would ever make is in your own health. Thank you. Now, this is a very, very great speech in my opinion. It's really focused on the call to action, and it paints the narrative very, very brilliantly. And I think the message really has adhered to the prompt. Now let's look at the explanation. So it says, I'll break down the speech into sections and show how each part uses tone. So we have opening hook, phone analogy. Imagine you're giving a brand new phone. Target audience. Teens relate strongly to technology and phones. The analogy meets them in their world instead of starting with medical jargons. And that's very true. That's very true, especially in today's world. Oh, outcome. The goal is to immediately establish the idea that the body is valuable and worth protecting. Natural language, simple, conversational, visual, no clinical terminology. Sounds like how someone would actually talk to teens. And that's true. And then E, emotion, curiosity, recognition, personal value. It triggers a protective instinct. So it has applied the tone framework for the opening paragraph, and these are the ways in which it was applied. Now let's go to the second paragraph. We see your body is still under construction. It says we have T speaks directly to their age group and development stage. So true. Educate them that choices now have long-term consequences. Use clear imagery, construction, wiring, development. Avoid heavy scientific explanations. A mix of empowerment and responsibility. It makes them feel important and in control of the future. This is an amazing way for you to get the best out of AI. Look at the way this prompt was structured. We guided the AI agent by giving it the framework which we wanted it to use, and it has consistently maintained that framework all throughout the message, and it has produced something which is beautiful. This message, in my opinion, if you were to take this message and to type it and to use one of those AI those softwares that check whether something was written by AI, it would likely score very um the score probability on a software like that will likely say this is 70% to 80% not written by AI, because it's so natural and the flow is so normal that it really seems like this was written by someone, by a human being, and not artificial intelligence, right? Because you were able to really be direct and to guide the process with your prompt. The key to getting the best from AI is using the right prompts. That's just the key. Using the right prompt, you get the best result from AI. Now let's look at it says smoking consequences. Smoking may look like a small experiment. It's so wonderful. I'm going to change the speech, right? Let's do something and let's see how it's going to do the same thing. So I'm going to ask you to write the speech on the same topic, but the target audience this time is a group of professional doctors which are new, and then I'm trying to educate them on how they should have, let me say, how would I put it? The target audience has changed. The target audience is a group of doctors, yes. But what am I, or let's say rather than doctors, the target audience is a group of parents. And I'm trying to tell them why their children should not smoke or eat fatty foods. Let's do that. It says redraft the speech using the same tone framework for a target audience of parents of teens and young people telling them why their kids should not eat fatty foods, right? Since we have the speech using the same tone framework for a target audience of parents of teens and young people, telling them why their kids should not eat fatty foods, right? And we're going to see the results we're going to get. Alright, let's see what we've gotten. It says, got it. Now you're shifting the audience from teens to parents, so the psychology changes. Parents respond more to responsibility and long-term outcomes than peer pressure and identity. That's the redrafted speech first. Then we'll look at how the tone framework was applied. So let's see. It says you are designing your child's future health. Great topic in my opinion. Good evening, parents. Every parent in this room wants the same thing. A child who grows up strong, confident, and capable of living a full life. We think about education, safety, and character, but one of the most powerful influences on their future is happening quietly every day at the dinner table. Children don't just eat what we serve, they learn from it. Their taste preference, eating habits, and relationships with food are being programmed right now. When fatty, high processed foods become normal, their bodies adapt to it. Their bodies adapt to expect it, and that adaptation carries into adulthood. Excess fatty foods in childhood doesn't just affect weight, it affects cholesterol levels, early blood pressure changes, energy levels, attention span, long-term heart health. We are now seeing teenagers with conditions that used to appear only in middle age. That shift is not genetic, it's environmental. And the challenge is not that parents don't care. The challenge is is convenience rather. Fast food is quick, processed. Processed snacks are cheap. Busy schedules make unhealthy options easier than healthy ones. But e but ease today can become difficulty tomorrow if those habits harden. The goal is not only perfection, no child needs a life without treats. The goal is consistency. When healthy foods becomes the default instead of exception, children grow up seeing nourishment as normal, not punishment. Parents set the environment and the environment shape behavior more than willpower ever can. By choosing balanced meals, limiting excessive fatty foods, and modeling healthy habits yourself, you're not just feeding your child, you're protecting their heart, their brain, their future independence. One day, your child will make their own choices. What you're building now is a foundation they'll stand on when that day comes. Healthy habits in childhood are one of the greatest gifts a parent can give. Thank you. So, and then we see the connection of the framework. So, basically, this is how you can improve your communication using AI and then leveraging the tone framework to improve your communication. Whether you're trying to make a speech or improve your communication to a colleague or maybe to a boss, to a manager, or just send a simple message, right? You can definitely use this approach to do so. But one thing which you should remember is your goal in this case is not just to improve your communication skills or rather to improve your communication messages, but to improve and enhance your skills by actually understanding how to apply the tone framework in your communication. And working with AI, you can get to see how clearly it is done in a practical way in order for you to adopt it and apply it in your own day to day conversations. All right, so we have come to the end of the eighth of the practical AI challenge where you stop guessing and you start prompting. I'm sure you've learned a lot from today's lesson, and I'm happy you've had the time to be with me. See you tomorrow for day 9 of the 14-day practical AI challenge. We have something interesting to consider tomorrow, and bye bye for now.